Here they come then. The Peixoto brothers making up 2/3 of this team alongside Fuma, who's been a huge player for them thus far. Ranked 8th in the world, finishing in the top 8 of E-Nations last year. They're going to be at least top 4, if not better, so improvement has been shown. Welcome to the French team. Of course, they need an opponent for this game, and it is none other than the reigning world champions, Brazil. Here come the reigning world champions. Can they go back to back? 2 years in a row. No one's ever done it before in the FIFA E-Nations, although they've got to take on another E-Nations previous winner in France if they're going to do that. Conceded just 1 goal thus far in the knockout rounds, and the only team left that actually won their group in the group stages, it is Brazil. Welcome to the stage. Okay, so it's a battle of 2 previous winners of E-Nations. Do you feel that whoever wins this game could go on to win the whole thing?
Yeah, I think when you are in semi-final, every team can win, so yeah, for sure.
Do you feel that pressure's off you slightly going up against the current world champions?
No, there is no pressure, like it's the same if we play Brazil or another team.
Okay, France feeling confident. Let's head over to the Brazilian team again. Reigning world champions, you won your group. So far, it's been a consummate performance across the board. What do you have in store for the French team?
Yeah, they are very good players. So we are ready for that. We are aiming to be world champions twice. So yeah, we came here to make the objective.
Obviously, the small matter of $300,000 will go to the winning team. This is a $150,000 game. How much is that figuring into your thoughts ahead of this match?
No, I think that we don't think about that. Like, of course, the money is good, but the most important for us is being the champions. So we don't care about winning. The money is like, okay, it's good, but doesn't matter at all.
Okay, right. Let's bring in head referee James from FIFA here. He's going to do the coin toss. We have a blue side of the coin and a purple side of the coin. Which country is which side?
France is blue, Brazil is purple.
Okay, France is blue, purple is Brazil. Take it away, James. It's looking like it's going to be blue, which is the French team, which means France will kick off and have the home advantage in the second leg. Brazil will kick off and have home in the first leg. I'm going to head over to our casters, Mike LaBelle and me. See you in a second.
That means Spencer's going to join me. He's going to walk up here. And what a setup for another semifinal here. We're looking at Brazil. We're looking at France. 2 sides that have so much history within this competition, so much success, big nations in the football world and also in the virtual football world. And before we get started, I do believe that we have messages from both the French side and the Brazilians.
Salut les gars, Eric Argenteuil, à défaut de ne pouvoir être avec vous. En tout cas, sachez que le carrier, merci de nous faire vibrer, on y croit fort.
Hello les gars, j'espère que vous allez bien. Voilà, j'espère que vous êtes prêts pour votre demi-finale là, qui arrive cet après-midi. J'espère que vous prendrez votre revanche. En tout cas, moi je suis tout cœur avec vous et j'espère que vous allez rapporter la 2e étoile. Allez les Bleus.
Filho, passando aqui para desejar boa sorte, para poder falar que eu estou na torcida, que você já é um campeão, essa é somente mais uma de todas as conquistas que o Senhor já preparou para você, porque o Senhor tem promessa, eu sempre falo isso para você e Ele vai cumprir. Filho, vamos com tudo, vamos buscar o bi, te amo.
Paulo, meu filho, que alegria estar participando desse momento tão especial na sua vida. Estamos na torcida, vai dar tudo certo. Vamos Brasil, te amo.
Great to see those messages from friends and family back home, and it really is, especially in the E-Nations, Mike, like it really does kind of ring home when you get to this level, how many people you're representing on this stage.
It's a nice touch. Shout out to whoever at production reached out to different family members and friends, and it just gives you that added element, again, what this means for your nation, means for the people that are around you, and also all the time you dedicate to being in this position. A lot of people at home don't realize sometimes it takes years to get to this point, not even just this year of dedication. And all these players have been grinding, and this is one of the biggest moments in their careers.
I think it's one of those things that sometimes you don't always see the emotion from FIFA players, but until that moment when they leave the tournament, and that's when you really see it come out, and it's almost like all the pressure and the expectation that's been on their shoulders, maybe, like you say, for years sometimes, just comes out at that moment, and obviously the emotion when they win as well. We saw great scenes from Brazil this time last year when they won the trophy.
And as someone firsthand that has grinded through it, competed for many years throughout years ago, I know firsthand. You've been waiting, you've been training, you've been preparing in hopes of getting to a point to be able to lift a trophy or hoist a trophy, and these guys are one step away from that. And for Brazil to have a repeat performance, wow, back-to-back years, and even for France to be able to potentially double them up with also a complete shift of teams a few years back, of course, when they won the E-Nations originally. It's massive, and it kind of gives another stamp of approval that these are the nations to watch, that these generate the best players in the world, and it's undeniable. You have that measurable metric.
I think whatever happens at the end of this game, we'll see some sort of catharsis, whether it's from Brazil or France, as the emotion pours out of them. One will be in ecstasy, the other in agony, but it will happen, and it's not too far away. Two huge footballing nations that have competed at the very top of the football game for many, many years, but they're doing the same thing in FIFA. Two previous champions. If one of these teams wins the whole thing, they'll be the first country to win multiple FIFA E-Nation trophies, as Mike suggested. The question is, for this game, Mike, who have you got?
I took Brazil to repeat, so I've got to stay strong to that. And this is at the beginning of the competition. It's not something we did yesterday. We went back a few days. We put our predictions out there. I actually haven't seen everyone's predictions. Are you still in the game?
No, I'm not, unfortunately. I backed the Argentina boys. I thought they were going to do a double up after the World Cup a few months ago, but you went with the reigning world champions. A very bold prediction from you there. I can't believe you were so brave.
I mean, I liked what I saw. They did shift their roster, and we should paint that picture a little bit. When you're dealing with France, you've got the Peixotos, you've got the brothers there. They've added Fuma in. Fuma has that offensive flair, and he's kind of terrifying when he gets into the final third, it's got to be said. You see a step over from Fuma, you get out of the way.
We've seen some great substitutions for the French as well, haven't we? Like with Fuma coming in and actually making the difference, you know, breaking the deadlock, scoring goals, and he's going to start, obviously, at the start of this game, but it is interesting to see that diversification of players.
Almost reminds me of Dax, if you want to rewind the years.
Yes.
Where he's an artiste in the box, if you will. And then you have Brian coaching, who is one of the most successful French players, a lot of history in there, and now bringing him into the back end or giving you the tactics and the motivation of someone that's already been there before. I think that's a nice little bonus, and someone that's been around the French national team now for multiple years.
You talk about the Brazilian changes. Brian, the only person off the pitch left from that French win, all completely different playing squad, and the Brazilian only having one player left from last year as well, along with the same coaching staff, that has to be said. We talk about that being a bold decision, but I also think it makes a lot of sense logically. I mean, two of the guys, PH Zin and Resende, they have that domestic partnership with Ajax Brazil. They're playing together regularly. If you've got that as an option from an international standpoint, why not put it in? You know, obviously the likes of Crepaldi missing out. He was really lively last year on and off the pitch, brought a lot of entertainment to the tournament, but they've got to pick their best players. And listen, the proof's in the pudding. Right now, they've been as good as anyone.
It's been working. I'm just looking at this from a player perspective. I win the world title, I expect to still be in that squad, just off the principle of what we accomplished in the previous year. But I think they've made the right choice, both Klinger and Crepaldi, of course, being sidelined or put to the reserves, shall we say. And then the likes of bringing in Resende, who kind of took part last year to a certain degree. PHN, we know very well. They're teamed up at Ajax, so they've been training all year long. And then Paulo Neto is really one of those talents, a really special individual. And offensively, he gives you so much pressure. He gives you the ability to change a game. He gives you a new dynamic. And that's valued, even if he doesn't start, to potentially be a super sub if you need to shift the rhythm, if you need to shift the tempo of the game. We talk about that so much, but it's such a factor that controls what kind of game we see, is whoever's able to actually adjust the speed. It's not always about interceptions or big tackles or taking even some of the key moments. It can be as simple as we slowed it down or we sped it up.
We just heard some loud noises coming from the Brazilian booth there as they completed their team huddle. Massive game. Let's not forget, $150,000 minimum will go to the winning team, and they'll be playing in the final for double that, for $300,000 if they were to come out of this game. France, ranked 8th in the world currently, finished top 8 last year, as I mentioned earlier. Brazil, number 1 for a reason. They're the reigning champions. How many times have we seen in things like World Cups the reigning champions come in and disappoint, maybe get knocked out in the group stage? Perhaps one of the strategies behind, you know, freshening your roster is to allow for that potential complacency and freshen it up so that those guys actually haven't won it. Yes, their country won it, but they didn't actually win it last year, so they feel like they need to prove a point still.
Definitely there's an expectation, and to a certain degree as well, even just getting to the top 4 is a massive achievement. I don't think Brazil will look at it like that, but from the outside looking in, the fact that you've been able to be that successful back-to-back, and I'd like to bring that up for Italy as well, to go back-to-back top 4 finishes in E Nations. They should be very proud. I know the guys were emotional at the end of that match, but there should be all hugs and celebration. So many teams and different nations try to put together a winning formula, and it just doesn't happen. And usually you don't get a chance to even make a run that deep into a tournament.
Where do these two nations rank in the canon of FIFA? I mean, obviously E Nations is a fairly young tournament. We've only had a couple winners, both these teams having won it. But there's obviously so much more. There's the previous E-World Cup winners as we prepare for kickoff here. There's individual players. You know, obviously Bruce Granick comes to mind as someone that won multiple FIFA Interactive World Cups. Would the winner of this tournament, if it was to be one of these teams, would they have a shout for being the most dominant FIFA nation ever?
I don't think so without having more of the 1v1 success, especially in recent time. We haven't had the same Brazilians in the finals, if you're looking at 1v1s. Even with France, we talked about Bruce Granick having a couple under his belt. There's been a lot of players that we said might be next, could win it, are good enough to win it. This is the right collaboration, big signing, congratulations. This guy's someone to watch, but we're not seeing them win those titles. And I think at a certain degree, that's kind of the takeaway. Yes, this helps build to the resume or the CV, but you still need those 1v1 achievements as well.
Here we go then, we are underway in the first leg of our second semi-final here at the FIFA E Nations 2023. Brazil versus France, two Goliaths of the footballing world and previous winners of this tournament head-to-head here. Only one can come out on top. Brazil look to start things off with a cross into the box. France dealing with it though thus far.
And I wouldn't be surprised with the South Americans, just the way that they play on the virtual pitch, to be a little more aggressive, especially offensively. We often see these first legs to be a bit of a defensive standoff, a little bit of a cagey affair, but I expect them to commit bodies, see overlapping runs, see some of that Brazilian flair and creativity.
France here looking to make something happen with Ronaldo. Good pass into Mbappe, there's a ball out wide if they can see it. Milinkovic-Savic into Rashford. Good step overs. They love these low crosses. We saw this in their quarter-final game, of course. Brazil maybe with a slight issue there, kicking it out of play. We'll find out what that's about. But France, particularly against Sweden, Mike, we watched them in that, not Sweden, sorry, actually, against Argentina in the previous round.
Wow.
5-2 win.
What an impressive win.
How deadly were they when it came to getting the ball out wide and then penetrating into the box, low passes? It worked so many times.
Tactically, they were on point. Execution was there. And I keep building this up because I think it's important to reference that matchup. It was the hardest of the quarterfinals, in my opinion. We talk about Argentina with the likes of Nicolas, who's in that upper tier of being one of the all-time greats. Some would even put him as the greatest of all time, depending how you put together your criteria, your personal preference in players. And then Matias Benano as well, that partnership. And the fact that France was not only able to set the tone, set the tempo, they got off to an early start. Nicolas subbed out. But then they added to it. They built off of that, and they gave you some of the flicks. They gave you some of the tricks, the moments that you can recapture, you can watch again on social media. And if anything, that's something that I think sometimes we question with this French team. Are they just going to be possession-based? Are they going to be holding the ball? Are they going to out-control you? But no, not this squad, not with the likes of Fuma in action. They're ready to give you, again, these different forms of expression.
Do you think there's an argument to say that some of these teams are better at 2v2, almost greater than the sum of their parts? You know, you're seeing individual players here who, of course, can go on to win things, and we'll see some of them in action at the FIFA E-World Cup, but maybe with the partnerships or the backing of the coaches or the kind of shared responsibility, it allows them to shine more than 1v1?
There's a level of accountability, and I also feel that certain players work better with other players. And I'll just put this out there, I'll throw it. Resende, hopefully he's not listening to me too much, but I don't think Resende is the same player as a PH Zin right now or a Palonetto in a 1v1. But he's the starter in the 2v2 because I think he works better with PH Zin, and they're training together at Ajax. So just as another point to kind of build off your question, some players work better together. Sometimes it's a mentality. It's also a connection. If you're going to put in a lot of time training together, you need to be friends. Yeah. You need to have a healthy relationship.
Yeah, we've seen that for sure in many teams at this E-Nations tournament where you might look at one of the members of the team and think maybe they're not as good as the substitute, but they work better with that player. If you're wondering what the technical pause is here, it's a kit clash issue. Jersey's clashing a little bit, so we're going to start the game again, I believe.
I'm happy they're doing that reset, because when I saw everything getting underway, I thought to myself, this is a little close, a little too close. And to your point as well with some of the teams, we talk about Anders all the time. Of course, representing Denmark, just won the E Club, teamed up with Umit. And I didn't think the cadence there. And I don't know, I don't have any insider trading or information, but just from what we're watching, I didn't see the same alignment with that team. When you're looking at Marcuso, Ustin, and Anders, I don't know if they worked the same way, and it showed in terms of the results. They had a chance to make a run in this tournament. It didn't happen. Maybe couldn't find the perfect support player for Anders as well. And again, different players, especially if they're exceptionally 1v1, sometimes it's a struggle or a challenge to find who's going to sit alongside them and be the best asset.
With regards to what's happening here, Mike, what would be going through your head as a player here? You know, you've got all that adrenaline and that energy, nervous energy, you could say, going into the game. You finally get kicked off. You're trying to get into the flow of things. And then because of a kick clash issue, they have a momentary pause where it has to be reset. What would that do to your nerves?
I don't think it's a big deal. The only issue that would have came into play here is if somebody had conceded. I would hate to be in a position where, let's say I concede off kickoff, and then I don't like the kits, and now I got to change kits and think about the goal that we just gave up. But in this circumstance, that's not the case. So I don't think either side will be too worried about it. It's a slight hiccup, a slight delay. You go into a reset. We were 5 minutes into the game.
I'm sure we'll be back underway as soon as possible. You see the Brazilian booth there with their coach in tow. He's been a great character the last few years, really embracing everything about Brazil, really. Everything you know about Brazil and their culture and their love of football. You know, their scenes last year for me when they won were fantastic. They really did embrace the moment, and maybe we'll see the same here. But France, of course, are standing in their way. And for me, this is a big one. If France were to knock out Brazil here, I think we'd see a real outpouring of emotion from the French, because they might play it down a little bit when you interview them, but I think they know what a big result it would be.
I also feel like for the French in particular, it kind of identifies and confirms the best players in France. Because there's a lot of debate, because there's a lot of depth within that nation. Different players play in different ways, which also adds favoritism from a fandom perspective in terms of I like the way that he reacts, or I like the way that he plays FIFA, it's more aggressive, or this guy's a little more passive. I always bring up the likes of Maestro, who you don't see in action, but he has been a household name within that French community. I mean, he'll definitely give you a lot of animation. You see the live streams, and this, again, kind of puts it out there that this is the best team that they have to put forward for the competition. I think the Peixotos, having a brotherly scenario, is a partnership that every team could dream of.
Controllers are getting back into the hands of our players. Fists are being pumped. It's nearly time to get things underway for the second time here after a momentary delay. Here we are then. We are back in game. And it's actually started from the same point on the clock. So we've not actually started from 0. We're in the 7th minute here, back underway with Brazil on the ball, of course, in the yellow and blue shirt and shorts, with France in the red, white and blue. Brazil with Dembele. Locked off down the left side.
It's interesting down that left side as well. The combination between Camavinga and Dembele. Not everyone's using Dembele. Of course, is one of the most agile players in the game. It's a matter of can you overload that side. Something that's been present throughout the majority of the teams is almost picking a side and going at it. They're really aggressively usually working down the right or working down the left. It's not typical for them to go both ways.
Yeah, France have done their best work down the flanks. I think there's got to be a game plan for Brazil to stop that threat, make them play through the middle, because they seem to have a real strength when they break out wide and get into the box. Ruud Gullit to Henry. Dembele looking long here. It's not a bad ball if he can get there before the keeper. He was trying to make that jump with the keeper there first.
And again, you see the value of Savic. We've talked about it, but locate him, isolate him, give him a chance to take advantage of the body type that he's got. Powerful, 6'8". Of course, a new item as well, shapeshifter, a goalkeeper that's now a midfielder or a center back. Sometimes you see him float into attacking roles. You're going to see him use knockdowns, aim for him on the back post. Just a difference maker.
Brother, of course, poised to move to Saudi Arabia, along with many footballers that have recently, as their league continues to grow. But it's all about FIFA at the moment here, with Zaha on the ball out on the right. Goes low into Mbappe. Ruud Gullit. Mbappe, can he find some space? Back to Henry, looking for the left-footed shot. Good tackle, though, from Milinkovic-Savic once again.
Solid offense, maybe even better defense. Tuck the players in. play the angles, don't bite on some of the skill moves. That's a big part of what you're going to see at the pro level is you're trying to bait mistakes. You see the step overs, the quick turns, the left stick dribbling. Sometimes you're just throwing out a skill in hopes of really hitting that secondary skill or the extra pass, just trying to find some space.
We've seen in a lot of games, including the last semi-final, the first leg is a tense affair, often 0-0. What is it that changes as the clock ticks by in the second leg and suddenly we see teams break through or make mistakes, as is what happened with the Netherlands-Italy match?
Typically, we're measuring risk to reward. So in that first leg, it's not worth the risk to push a bunch of bodies forward. However, in the second leg, the fact that you might be able to take the lead or extend your lead, you're more willing to commit those bodies because you know the clock's now on your side, you're putting your opposition under additional pressure. In this case, it's more so about being risk adverse, and then if somebody does make a mistake, you've got to capitalize.
French pressure trying to get this ball back, with Brazil handling it well. Mbappe dispossessed, potential free kick there. Advantage, I believe, played. Brazil still on the ball here with the Brazilian in Militao. Zaha. Mbappe. Looking for that opening. Back to Zaha on the right. Will he cross it in? He does. He's onside. Back heel. It was almost beautiful. If deliberate, would have been a fantastic team goal, Mike.
No doubt deliberate. You saw them triggering the run again with Savic. Savic seems to be the late addition to a lot of those attacks. Typically, you'd think it would be a Ruud Gullit getting forward, long hair, galloping through the midfield. But Savic is kind of taking that role, and especially for Brazil.
Chance for France on the edge of the box. We've seen them do that a couple times in the quarter-final. The same move with Milinkovic, Savic, step over onto the left foot, shot, saved on that occasion, but scored a fantastic goal. Using the same technique in the previous match against Argentina.
Clever setup there as well with the ball roll into the Trivela, also overpowered this year, fits into the meta. You see an early outlet there, a little sloppy from Brazil. But both sides have had, let's say, half chances. Not a massive opportunity just yet, not that 1v1. And it's been a pretty even game.
Yeah, France have been confined to outside the box shots. They've had 2 of them. Brazil yet to shoot, but they did get that fantastic pass right into the 6-yard box. Could have been special. 50-50 more or less on possession as well. Not much between these two sides at the moment. Mistake from Brazil as Ballack intercepts. Now France can plan their next attack. Very dangerous pass, well read by the Brazilians. Can they make them pay? No.
You might be asking some questions. Yes, that's right. You're seeing Buffon as a center back. Another one of those items that has been updated or converted from a goalkeeper to an outfield position. We've seen a collective of them, and they've all made appearances over the course of the week.
We approach half-time in this first leg. Semi-final. 1 final spot's already been claimed by the Dutch. The Netherlands are there. They're waiting to find out who they'll play. Will it be France or will it be Brazil? Will it be an all-European final? Or will it be a fantastic matchup between the Dutch and the Brazilian? Either way, we're in for a fantastic game. Milinkovic-Savic on the ball. Seen him sting the gloves of the goalkeeper once already today as he plays it in low to Ronaldo. Camavinga there as the whistle is blown. No goals yet. Still a very tight match. No one really edging that half, Mike.
Not overly eventful half, but at the same time, both teams went for it. They did commit bodies.
Okay, we're going to hand things over to Alex and Aga now to see what they thought of that first half.
Yeah, a very good start to the first half there in the semi-final. I thought France, Aggie, putting out a little bit of pressure on Brazil, but both teams just kind of finding their way into the game.
Yeah, still finding out how to break down the opponent. I think both teams had small chances and showed small, in small periods they had the game, each of them. So nothing really to separate so far, but luckily for both of the teams they have still 3 more halves to play.
They do indeed, and this was a chance for Brazil looking for that cutback off across. Fanja just, don't know whether he got that pass off there or the touch wasn't great. Either way, opportunity missed. Back over to Spencer and Mike.
Thanks, guys. Yes, back underway in this second half. Will we see a breakthrough in this match? Will we have to wait for the second leg as we did in the previous semi-final?
not bad about that opener. I don't think that we saw necessarily a extremely defensive first half.
Chance here for Brazil on the overlap. Zaha getting forward. Waiting for the right pass. Good stuff here into Henry. Does he shoot on the left foot? Maybe takes a little bit too long. No foul, says the ref. And France survive.
Tries to set up that elastico to change direction. At this point, most the players on the pitch can go either way. We're looking at 5-star weak foots, a lot of forms and opportunities in terms of some of that expression. But what I was saying is that it didn't feel like that defensive of a first half. Just no major mistake on the defensive end. We didn't talk about those breakaways or anything like that.
Mbappe bursting into the box, gets the shot off. Fantastic diving save from the Belgian, Thibaut Courtois. How many times have we seen that one work for the French? De Bruyne. Here he is again. Oh, it's another save. And you really think now, Mike, after these chances, the French would have liked to have got at least one goal.
I can't believe that Courtois saves that. A little bit of some goalkeeper movement, but you're in the right place. If you're a fan of the French, you got to convert from there. Beautiful step over. Savic, a lot of time to work with. Played a 50-50 game with Courtois and didn't win it.
Looking for an opening here. Acrobatic clearance from Zaha. And despite having Savic in the team, don't see a lot of aerial crosses and long balls from the French. It's always on the deck.
You got to go where it feels natural. I always talk about fluidity and authenticity to your gameplay.
Mbappe looks for that pass. Ruud Gullit ready and waiting to receive the ball. Almost did too much, but gets it away. Dembele.
Brazil's got to be careful here as well. You can see the change of tempo, some of the pressure from France. There's the pause has been cued. Maybe they're hearing me talk about it a little bit, but it didn't seem like the halftime team talk was in their favor. You could almost feel as if it was a matter of time now for France to break through and have the opener.
Back four in use for Brazil against the back five of the French.
You can see a big change there as well. We're having Pogba come on, which now gives you a more sizable winger. Reason that can be important. Not only fresh legs, a little more powerful than the likes of a Dembele, and if you need to go with an aerial approach, whether you're whipping it across or even a knockdown. Sometimes those outlets, when you're feeling additional pressure, you got to feel like you have a safe matchup. I often like to have a taller player as someone that's aligned with one of the fullbacks, where he's going up against a fullback or a winger, and I know my 6'3", 6'4" Pogba is going to win that header, at least for a knockdown, or throw off that fullback. It stops some of those instant counterattacks.
No doubt, as Brazil switch from side to side here, not having the same amount of chances as the French have had in this tie so far, but we know what these guys are capable of. At any moment they could find that all-important breakthrough, but the French just look so busy in their defending and so ready to press the minute they lose possession. They really have impressed me in the previous quarter-final, knocking out many people's favourites in Argentina, fairly comfortably, may I add, and now going up against the reigning champs. Could they take the lead here? No, because Camavinga made a huge tackle.
Oh, that was something special. What an essence to get down like that, taking a gamble, a bit of a 50-50. Everything has to be right.
Brazil here. Could they get the first goal? Great pass back, gets the shot off. Still alive in the box. French eventually clear their lines.
Brazil would have liked to have that back. Beautiful entry pass there. Needed a skill move. Needed some sort of side touch or just something additional to unlock that bit of space.
This game's really opening up now, end-to-end stuff. Both teams finding a way into the opposition box. But no goal still as the French take a short corner to Mbappe. Good tackle from Klosterman. He gets there first.
I don't love that second touch, though. Brazil needs possession in those circumstances. You can't keep giving up corner kicks. You can't keep giving up throw-ins. You can't keep giving France a lot of opportunities right around the box.
Here is the big throw in towards Milinkovic-Savic. I think he's beaten in the air there, potentially by him.
It was Savic versus Savic.
Yeah, his doppelganger. De Bruyne to Rashford. Dispossessed then. That's better from Brazil. More assertive defending. Now, can they make it count? Sharing the ball around the back here, looking for the right pass. Pogba to Klosterman, getting forward down the right now. Do they cross? Cuts inside, goes for the shot, surely not. Klosterman making Van der Sar stretch there.
Clever setup there, a couple ball rolls to get that angle again, trying to set up the Trivela. Goalkeeper does just enough, and we're really only seeing Van der Sar and Courtois at this point in goal. Those have been the two mainstays.
Mbappe tries the cross, gets lucky on the bounce back, finds his compatriot. Well, he's not his compatriot, it's his, he's the successor of Ronaldo in many ways, isn't he, Mbappe? Back to Mbappe again here. There's the shot, green time. Good goalkeeper movement.
Brazil almost had enough time to switch that up and try to aim for the near post. France went slightly early with Van der Sar. If you review that, you can see the goalkeeper start to scoot over. It's green time, but it doesn't matter. And the reason you're seeing outside of the box shooting is people aren't breaking through. That back line has been solid.
Pullet. Brazil looking a bit more lively now, but we know what the French team can do on the break. Ronaldo just needs to hold it so he can get some reinforcements. Brazil quick to get the ball back, something they weren't doing as well in the first leg. Those changes do seem to have made an effect for the Brazilians, who are looking better in possession now. Hullet to Henry, to Ronaldo. Was there a shot on for Henry there, maybe?
I like the build-up. I think once you make that pass to R9, that's when you need the side touch. Some quick execution skill as well, whether it's a ball roll or a step over, maybe even a body feint. They're one touch away from that breakthrough.
Will we see a goal in this first leg? It's been a bit of a stalemate thus far, not through the want of trying for both sides. Henry. Savage now just giving it back to Henry, rides the challenge. He probably won't cross, we know that. They take their time, they pass it on the deck. Oh, and it's just, gets a little nick off, I think, Hullet there for a corner. It's going to go short again, I'm sure. Henry, opening the space up here. De Bruyne, deep. We know what he's capable of on the edge of the box, but he's playing a deeper role here for the French.
Surely it's a resurface, recycle, look for the last chance here, wait till the 90th minute to try to finalize that last attack.
Here we are then entering injury time. The French maybe with a chance to take a slender lead into the second leg. Klosterman looks for that low pass. De Bruyne now, does he shoot? Sneaky little reverse pass to Mbappe, goes down. Referees having none of it, and that will be all she wrote for the first leg. A tense 0-0 affair. Not a great deal between the two sides, Mike.
It's high-level FIFA, though. If you review that, again, as you were saying, this is not one of those 0-0s where you didn't have opportunities, you didn't have chances, you didn't have any of those final breakdowns. It's just maybe more credit to the defensive side, big steps, and also key goalkeeper movement.
Fascinating matchup there between the two teams. We're going to be back underway for the second leg shortly. Rachel, what did you make of that first leg?
Thanks so much, guys. Yeah, well, I felt like, I'm sure the boys do as well, that France had quite a few chances, especially after the second half there, where, again, we spoke about that, continued to be 0-0. Again, a bit like Italy, Alex, a couple of missed chances which really could have changed how we look at this game.
A couple of missed chances from both teams, but like Mike said, I actually think it's been a really entertaining game so far. It's been back and forth, end to end, with fantastic defending from both sides. Fuma at one point was toying with them with the step overs, going left, going right. It's 0-0, but the way the game's being played, it's very enjoyable to watch, and it's only a matter of time before one of them does find the back of the net. We will see some chances as well, some highlights from that game where there was plenty of opportunities throughout.
Do you feel like, Aggie, this is very much two teams who are on a similar level going head-to-head right now?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the game reminded me a bit about the first one, just with a bit more flow. The two nations here seems to had adapted faster and are playing with a bit more confidence, but I also think they defended very, very well. And as Alex said, Fuma has been on fire. I mean, his skill moves on the wings are amazing, and Brazil definitely made some review on that coming into this semi-final. It's very clear.
We mentioned a couple of missed opportunities, and this was actually one from both sides. We can revisit this one now, Alex.
Yeah, this was a chance where Vanya he didn't really sort his feet out. He didn't get that pass off across that Brazil wanted, but looking to work that byline, an opportunity of a small margin for the Brazilian side as the French come straight back down that other end, looking for that spread of play. Zaha with fancy footwork, fancy feet, and it's all about the time on the edge of the box. Vanja again using that drive. We saw that yesterday from the French team, and this was another opportunity for them. Vanja with those step overs coming on the inside, and Courtois with a huge save, which you'd argue, Aggie, that is a chance where you'd probably expect to see the back of the net ripple.
Yeah, definitely, and we saw it go back into the net yesterday against Argentina, so maybe a little bit of great goalkeeper movement right there and a bit of fortune as well. But you gotta say that France is asking questions to their defense, and Brazil, maybe they want to add a little bit extra into this second leg here.
Yeah, they had a couple of corners as well, didn't they? Back-to-back corners. They could not score from the set piece there. Paulo Neto, does he come in, Alex, for the Brazilian side? Now he's up on his feet, more, I think, for discussion purposes rather than sitting in. As I have a quick peek over my shoulder, you can see the Brazilians just behind me there. You can see them here in discussion. Doesn't look like it as it stands.
It's the same story as what we saw in our previous semi-final, where you get in at 0-0, and we mentioned how, do you make that change too early? And the answer is probably not, because you've got to give your players chance. This is their first game today, and it's a semi-final. It's a massive opportunity for them to put their names in the limelight. If you change it now, yes, you can't then make that substitution. So maybe just letting them go out for the next 45 minutes, similar to the real-life game. Let them go out, let them play their game, and then, yes, if it's still drawing by that point, I'm sure we'll see Paulo Neto come on and flare it up.
Or something which could spur them on. We have some more good luck messages for the Brazilian team.
Oi, meu amor, nós estamos aqui para te desejar boa sorte, que Deus abençoe os seus jogos, te dê sabedoria em cada deles e que, acima de tudo, você se divirta muito, como você sempre fez. Nós conhecemos todo o seu trabalho, toda a sua dedicação e determinação e sabemos o quanto você merece isso. Estamos muito orgulhosos e felizes de ter você participando deste momento, que você possa fazer os melhores jogos da sua vida. A Serena tá doida para ter um papai campeão. Um grande beijo, nós te amamos muito e estaremos sempre do seu lado.
Looks like that was Resende's family there. I mean, that would just make me more emotional, actually, than probably spur me on in the moment. It'd probably put me off a little bit. Talking about, though, the French side, obviously they started there with 5 at the back, didn't they? Really defensive. Does that change in this second leg?
I doubt it. I mean, things are working all right for them. They did almost everything perfectly. They just didn't get that goal. And I think their game plan throughout the knockout stage at least has been pretty clear in terms of trying to break through the wings and doing those skill moves, getting Fuma into those situations where he can do stuff. So on to the second leg.
Let's see if anything changes between these two sides as we go into the second leg of this second semi-final. Mike, Spen, over to you.
Thank you, Rachel. Let's hope for a big finale to this semi-final. Great to see those messages as well from the families. Once again, you forget, that these guys aren't all youngsters. Some of them have got kids themselves and the families themselves. There's a lot of people watching, supporting them from home. And will they make them proud? I'm sure they will, whatever the result, as France look to break into the box. You have to say, until this point at least, Brazilian have done their homework and stopped those threats that were caused so many problems for Argentina in the previous game. Unless I eat my words here and France break through. No, once again, Brazil equal to it.
And I like seeing the smiles. That might sound like a funny bit of feedback, but to a certain degree, you still need to be comfortable on the big stage.
Brazil will be fuming if something comes of this because they had dispossessed France, they overplayed it, ended up going off for a corner. France have had quite a few corners in this tie now. They've not made it count yet, but could this be the moment? Once again, the man of the match, you have to say, Thibaut Courtois, coming up trumps for the Brazilians. France, though, relentless in their pursuit of an opening goal. Biding their time. Henry, looking for an opening. Brazil get it back again. Can they make it stick this time? Every time there's a little bit of a risky pass in there. It's that pressing game you play. You need to get that ball back within the first 3 or 4 passes, don't you? Otherwise they stabilise.
I was just going to talk about that. The counter press from France, it's dangerous. It's aggressive. It's confrontational.
Seeing it again here. Oh,
it's a foul. Nearly on display, Spence.
I think that's a bit harsh there from the referee, if I'm honest.
I will say this, though. If you're Brazil, if you can break through to the midfield and you go quickly, you will have a little bit of chance for a break.
Yeah, we've seen that they can cause problems and pose questions of the French defence. The ball comes into the box there, Ruud Gullit making that third man run through the middle, but Ballack was there.
That's a good idea. We haven't seen Brazil try to introduce kind of the manual lob there with a triggered run. It didn't work out, but I like it as adding some variety into the gameplay.
Mbappe is such a problem out here. Can he find someone in the box? Varane stops it, but is still alive. De Bruyne can shift it onto either foot there, of course, but just couldn't get the space. It's a long, hopeful punt upfield there from Brazil. They need to keep possession better than that if they're going to break down the French defence. Giving it away here though, Ronaldo, could he hit it? Oh, it's another save! And the goalkeeper's really stealing the headlines in this one.
Just going to say, maybe the first big mistake from France there. FIFA 101, bad pass out of the back.
All into the box, header, and it's in! And Brazil break the deadlock here. The world champions looking to do it again. 1-0 up, and of course it's that man again, Milinkovic-Savic with the header.
It had to be Savic. You see them isolating, you see them aiming, you see them lobbing it up there. Let him go get it. 6'8". Brand spanking new, and he is causing problems.
And now we've got an opportunity to see what the French are really made of. 1-0 down in the second leg against the #1 ranked team in the world of FIFA, Brazil. Can they find a way to break through the Brazilian defense? They've had chances, Mike.
Had almost too many chances at this point. You could say 2 or 3 that should be sure things. One-on-one with Courtois.
Here we go, ball out wide here. Henry picks it up, goes back, sloppy pass. And if Brazil do win this one, Mike, they'll be thanking the Belgian, won't they? Thibaut Courtois has made a string of sensational saves.
And some of that's some quality goalkeeper movement to go alongside it. It's small steps, subtle details that make a big difference.
Brazil were to get a second here, it could really dampen the hopes of the French. And they're looking for it here with a corner.
We just saw Savic from the spot. He's just a matchup nightmare. He's taller and stronger than all the players on the pitch, so it doesn't feel like a 50-50.
Mbappe. Is that a foul? Ref says no. France back on the ball then. The game's come alive with that goal, as we knew it would. We just didn't know when it was going to come. We didn't know who it would fall to. The flow of the game maybe suggested the French were more likely to break the deadlock, but it was the Brazilians who pulled through. And they've done it so many times before. That's why they are the world champs. They know exactly what to do when it comes to this stage of a tournament.
Well, at the end of the day, it comes down to capitalization, being clinical.
Putting a cross in though, Mike, one thing the French don't do. They don't play those aerial crosses. We've seen so many teams score from it.
Look at this knockdown.
Here we go. They could double their lead here with Henry on the left foot, but Zaha, of all people, stops him. Is that something the French, if you were to criticise their game in any way, you'd say, do they have a plan B? Do they have that second option where if the low pass game's not working, because they've got the players to do it?
I think I'm still critiquing the plan A, and it just comes down to the finishing. They've got into the right locations, the right spots on the virtual pitch. Everything has been on point. Maybe they're not taking advantage of Savic the same way. You can see them targeting him on the Brazilian side. He has been that game changer.
Giving the ball away, France can't afford to do that here. What a strike! And it's a Frenchman that might have just ended the hopes of France with a fantastic outside the boot effort that absolutely rocketed into the top corner.
And you've seen both sides trying to set it up. That ball roll before the Trivela gets it perfect. It's time green. And this is something that Dembele can do. He doesn't have a weak foot. Remember, you can unlock and open up top drawer, top flight, top corner. And this also puts France into a real situation now. You've got to make significant changes.
And they're doing just that. Some personnel changes on and off the pitch. It's going to be a brothers link up here. The Peixoto boys trying to do it for the family.
You see the substitution, and also you might have noticed they're adjusting that midfield. They're going to push them more to be involved in the attack, including Savic. And we keep bringing up Savic because to start out the tournament, we talked a lot about 2v2s. I had a debate with Alex. I was like, I'm not sure if he's going to make as big of a difference, but he has been a factor in every single matchup.
Is this their way of changing strategy from plan A to plan B? Maybe with Fuma, such a great attacking, skillful, flowing player, he is more likely to play that way, whereas if you bring different personnel in, it might be more natural for them to use that longer ball option, the cross option, which has worked for Brazil thus far.
Maybe you're just sharing in a little different emphasis of the teamwork. You're already sharing in genetics. Why wouldn't it connect on the virtual pitch? I do expect a little bit of a different approach to some of the attacking positioning, because when you're trying to give Fuma a chance to make something happen, to be special, a lot of that is on the ground. You talked about why aren't we seeing crosses? Why aren't we seeing chip through balls? Why aren't we seeing knockdowns? That's not part of that collaborative effort. This will give you a little bit of a different look, different variety.
Yeah, they've acknowledged the need for change. The question is it too late? Should they have done it at 1-0?
Well, they have a lot of time. And sometimes you don't want to make a drastic shift, a big adjustment, if you're only down a goal, especially considering that France was making the chances. They were getting into those right locations. They had the GPS turned on. If anything, the critique comes down to some of the finishing.
And obviously that second goal for Brazil has come from a defensive error, giving the ball away. You know, Brazil pounced on it. You talk about capitalising on the chances. Brazil have done that in a much better fashion than the French, because the French have still had more chances, I think.
It was a big mistake out of the back, though. Right on the edge of the box. You don't have enough time to move your goalkeeper. Sets it up for Dembele to do something special.
Can the French get a goal before half-time in this second leg? They don't need to. They can do it all in the second half. They will have time, but it would be a massive statement. And it would be huge for the morale of this French team if they can. There are 4 minutes left. Maybe just 1 or 2 more chances to get that goal before the break. Oh, some sloppy pass there, but they'll get another go.
I don't know if they've done anything wrong there either, just an unforced error.
Is this a long throw into the big man? No. Goes short to Mbappe. And finds De Bruyne. Savage. Rashford can't get past Zaha. Not the first time he's made a crucial interception for the Brazilian defence. Brazil now just play for this final attack maybe. Not that they need to push it at 2-0 up. If they can make it 3, it might be enough to get them a spot in the final. Ronaldo. Good tackle from Buffon. Still alive though with Savage.
And that build-up, pretty unique. You're going to see 2 players moving. You added in the player lock, which technically adds a 3rd player into the rotation. A lot of simultaneous action going all-inclusive. And again, I bring that up because it shows confidence. They're oozing of some of the extracurricular.
Huge moment here for the entire French booth, Coach Brian included. What can they come up with in the final quarter, if you like, of this 2-legged affair? 45 minutes of FIFA time. What can they do to turn this round? They're 2-0 down against what is officially the best E-Nations team in the world, Brazil, looking to reclaim that title as we see the slightly sullen face of Fuma there, who's taking himself out of this game.
It's going through a rebrand according to Spence. I don't think they need to rush anything. They got 45 minutes. It's only a 2-goal deficit. What is important is that they shift the momentum. If they can get a goal first 20, even 25 minutes, it still gives you plenty of time to build into a couple more attacks and then be able to take those chances. And it also forces Brazil to feel some of that pressure.
You see that star on the French shirt? That means something. Yes, they've won a World Cup. I remember, actually, they won the World Cup in 1998. This exact game was the final. 2 goals from Zinedine Zidane, 1 from Emmanuel Petit. But it also can signify an E-Nations. They've done it before, Mike. The problem is, so have their opponents. And one of them has got to go.
Brazil's playing a dangerous game, but I see what they're doing. They're teasing it with swinging it around the back, trying to bait France, or try to misposition France to go for additional pressure and then open up lanes of space in behind the defense.
Van Dijk to Davies. On this left side, his natural left side for the French. De Bruyne out to Zaha. Great first touch. Do they deliver? Do they start to mix it up here? Are they still going for the low passing game? So far, it's the same as Lloris gets the ball. Obviously a World Cup winner with France. Not as a centre midfielder though. Henry. Dembele, scorer of that second goal. What a pass that is to an overlapping Frenchman in Camavinga for Brazil. Pull it. Savage. Good passing from Brazilians. Playing with a real confidence now. There's a vim and vigour to their game. Yoga Benito, you could say.
France just needs to give us a little more of that ingenuity, right around the edge of the box, or even going a bit more direct. Sometimes it's a mix and match of that being the most elite of the combinations, where you've got the skills and you've got the pretty portions of FIFA, but you've also got that route one, that knockdown, that whip in across, that put it into the mixer.
It's where we need to see serious composure on display from the French. They can't rush those passes because the clock is against them, because it will come short. At this level, you have to do everything perfectly precise. And that ball, if it was onside, could have been all she wrote. I think it would have been finished.
And I expect a formation change. I think that France has got to start pushing some more bodies forward. Again, even if it's a disruptive play to just change or shift a little bit of the flow of the game. Because at some point here, Brazil's got to start sitting a little bit deeper, adding in some additional possession, looking for those maybe deep outlets where they can run into space. We just need that extra resourcefulness from France to make this a little more interesting. Again, 1 goal changes everything. We have seen leads fall apart rather quickly. We've also seen them expand rather quickly. Welcome to FIFA. But we just don't have Brazil feeling any pressure right now.
No, it's true. They need to be taken out of their comfort zone because they are looking comfortable right now. And that's going to take some doing from the French if they're going to get back in this with just 30 minutes of FIFA left as they switch it over to Zaha on this right side. Still Zaha. They won't cross it, Mike. The run's not been done, so Savic isn't in there anyway.
It's good defense.
In fact, is Savic even on the pitch for the French anymore? I don't think he is. I think he's been taken off for Lloris. Pogba on the ball. They don't need to attack. They're not in a rush. They've earned the right to just stall things here, the Brazilians. But Pogba's fancy footwork almost makes something.
You just see the difference from a Pogba as a winger versus a Dembele. A bigger body, can hold it up a little bit. Again, powerful, been upgraded, has the skills, has the weak foot, has some of that versatility. It's a different body type, a different look, different movement.
Mbappe, what a time this would be to claw one back for the French. Davies in the box. Can he pick someone out? Milinkovic, Savic there again. What a game he's having for Brazil.
It's almost trying to be too perfect. I think they had a chance to go down central there as well. They've been going out wide, and you got to give a lot of compliments to Brazil here. They've defended phenomenal.
They've got
in
a
terms
man
of the wing
advantage
play
here. If they can get that ball over to the left, they've got the numbers. It's been held up slightly. De Bruyne intercepts.
See a first-time header there from Pogba again.
Ball could have been on through the middle there. Sorry, Mike, the ball might have been on there. But once again, they wanted to go out wide instead.
I just don't love that. We're missing some genius. You're missing some of that imagination.
It's very much get the ball to the byline and walk into the box, isn't it? It's been effective for them in previous matches, but I think Brazil have got the antidote for it. They've got numbers here once again if they can switch it.
They've been too reliant on the wing play.
Great ball. The run was ready. Pogba's in there. Opportunities for a third. Zaha stops it and the keeper eventually catches it, but France are running out of time here.
I expect to see France pivot once we saw the substitution with the double Peixoto action, that we would see maybe a different formation, a different approach to some of the build-up play. It's still too wing heavy.
It's wing heavy, and when it goes out wide, it usually goes one way. It's beat the fullback and then cut it back once you get into the box. They're not looking to play through the middle too much, but they have done here, and no way! Thibaut Courtois has been unreal in this game. There's been probably 3 or 4 chances for France, which on another day, they go in.
He's had everything.
Shout out to the goalkeeper movement, though, of Brazil. Maybe that's been a huge part of it, if that is the underlying factor. De Bruyne here, looking for Ronaldo. Can't find him. Brazil at any moment could end this game. They don't need another goal, but it would seal the deal if they were able to get it. Right now, Brazil will be progressing as things stand into the final for a chance to play for $300,000. More than double what Brazil won this time last year, by the way.
Oh, that's wonderful composure.
And every second that Brazil have the ball is like a dagger in the heart of the French, who need to get it back.
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I don't think France has enough time. Dealing with the 85th minute, already down on the wing. It's Brazil's throw-in. They've shown a certain level of comfort, confidence. Some of those outlet passes, they're not getting overwhelmed by the press, and some of that's because they have 2 goals. The big takeaway here is that there was a mistake from France that allowed for Dembele to have that outside of the box, that long shot that allowed them to double their lead, but you could tell right when that happened, the dynamic changed, the mindset changed, the confidence shifted. It was a little bit different ambiance in the air and also on the sticks. If you look at what's happened on the virtual pitch from Brazil, they weren't as nervy, they had a little more free flow, a little more fluidity, and they adjusted their attack, possession out of the back and then over the top. These looping over the top through balls where you're looking at Pogba. If you can find Savic, sure, Savic can come down the middle of the pitch. He gives you a release.
I think they have relied on their goalkeeper at times, but they've done a professional job when they've got the chances they've taken. And what they've done since going up has been the most impressive, I think. Since getting themselves in that position, they've really just shut France down.
And a lot of France's chances were early on, before the goals. We could talk about Courtois just making a save, but that's pretty much been it. When you're looking at after they had that 2-0 lead for Brazil, it has been a lot less Courtois making these momentous saves, kind of changing the game, as you see in the shielding now.
France get the ball back, and they needed to, and they've got to make it count. They need to score on this attack, because then they've got to do it again. And it's going to take a real Brazilian collapse that I just don't think's coming, Mike, as Brazil get the ball back again. Klosterman, they don't need to cross it in, because it's probably already too late for the French, but they have got it back. Lloris pumps it forward in a very un-French way, because we haven't seen that from them a lot. But it is over. I don't think France will even get one goal now. Brazil have done the job. They've done enough to get to back-to-back E-Nations finals, as the French look to half the deficit at least. There's 30 seconds of injury time left on the clock. I don't think it's mathematically even possible for France to get 2 goals now. And it is over. And there it is. And look at the celebrations from the Brazilians. They've brought a carnival to the Middle East, and they're absolutely loving life. And they could win back-to-back E-Nations, Mike. The French, though, heading home, doubling their performance from last year, from top 8 to top 4. Maybe next year will be their year.
And as you said, professional performance, took their chances, limited mistakes, fantastic goalkeeper work. We've got to stress that. And it would have been a different game. If France got on the board early, we're talking about this different, the dynamic being different, but it didn't happen.
Great to see the Brazilian scenes of celebration, although I would say they're not that over the top. A lovely little chest bump there. But I think they're winners, aren't they, Mike? They've done this so many times before. They know exactly what's required of them. I don't think you'll really see the celebration until they win the whole thing.
There's a certain expectation, and then also PHZ and Resende, we saw them in action at the E Club. They probably felt as if they should have done better. This is their second chance. Very few teams get an opportunity at a second go with almost an identical roster. We just added Paloneto to the bench.
Yeah, it has been a consummate performance from the Brazilian squad, and commiserations, of course, to the French, who've had a fantastic tournament. They can leave with their heads held high, done their country proud. A narrow defeat to the world #1 ranked team in Brazil, who aren't finished yet. The Netherlands await them. What a game of FIFA that is going to be. And our friend and yours, Richard Buckley, is in the Brazilian booth now for a quick chat.
I certainly am, Spencer. Incredible stuff. Brazil have done it. Who fancies... Well, I'll chat to you all, actually. Firstly, we'll go to the coach. What a team you've assembled here. How does it feel to see Brazil back in another E-Nations Cup final?
It feels amazing to be in another final in a consecutive year. We got a pretty good team over here, most experience, a lot of trophies, and the best player in the world for a long, long time. So it's amazing to be here in another final.
And you've almost got sort of a core team here. You've got the Ajax boys, then you've got someone off the bench who can do magical things. How important is it to have sort of your 2 players and then Paulo who can come off the bench and change the entire game?
Yeah, it's a lot of, pressure to choose which one going to play, but we trust every player that we have to do any function in the game. So Paulo can be as a beast on the offensive as a defender as well. So we are prepared. We got the best 3 players from Brazil right here, so it's feeling good.
PHC, I'll come on down. We'll spin around. Little answer. Everyone wants to hear from you. Easy question. How does it feel?
Yeah, amazing. For us, in the final, one more time. Now is the time for the back-to-backs, and that's it.
I know you're not the most confident. A man who's full of confidence. Resende, come on in. You saw a little message at sort of the first leg. It looked to motivate you going into the second leg.
Yeah, of course. It's really good to hear like messages like that. All my family was there, but of course we are happy to go to the final. But we are also focused to get the trophy, and we're gonna do our best to this.
And you weren't playing last year. You were here as sort of a supporter, a cheerleader, you could say. You're in the hot seat this year. How much over the last 12 months did you want to see these boys succeed and then think, I want to be there next year?
Yeah, I think like in Brazil, we have a lot of talents, and of course, it's difficult to be in like this level. But like I'm playing for like 5 years in a good level, so I know that I can be here for all years if I want. So I'm gonna try this like forever, and of course, be here is a pleasure to wear this shirt, and we're gonna get the trophy now in the final.
Incredible stuff. Brazil, the FIFAe Nations Cup grand finalists. They'll be taking on the Netherlands. We're just going to have a little walk over to Team France. Brian, can we just have a quick chat? It was a great game of FIFA, very small margins in the end. How proud are you of this France team?
Well, very proud of them, as always. I think we did a great game. Yeah, well, it's FIFA. I think we could have scored maybe first. We had some chances. They moved the keeper very well, actually. But yeah, when they scored the first goal on this corner, we lose a bit of momentum. I mean, they scored the second, and well, in the end, they keep their advantage very well. So yeah, nothing well to say. Well played to Brazil.
Yeah, always extremely respectful. Just when you look back over France, the last couple of years, you've been close but not been able to get over the line. I'm sure the time will come where 2019 you can lift the trophy again. France is an incredible FIFA nation. For everyone out there who's watching at home in France, what have you got to say to the people?
No, thank you to all the people who support us. It's actually a bit hard to speak because we are very sad, but yeah, thanks to all to the support, and sorry to disappointed you. Of course, we will try our best to come back even stronger.
Thank you very much. Always great talking to everyone here. Brazil versus the Netherlands, your final for the FIFAe Nations Cup Grand Final. For all the preview as we head into that final top two match, back to the couch.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, I mean, I think he summed it up brilliantly there. For me, man of the match in that match was Courtois. My question to you, Mike, when it's happening time and time again, he keeps making saves. How much of that is, oh, great, Courtois, what a goalkeeper, and how much of it is actually, no, the Brazilians have used him expertly?
There's a mix. So, of course, Courtois kind of overtaken even Van der Sar, in my opinion, as the goalkeeper to use. But there's slight movements and timing of those movements that make a big difference to increase the percentage of some of those saves. If you're at home, I'm telling you, you're conceding the majority of those goals. There's a lot happening there, and these minor details or small details always make a big difference at the competitive level.
And let's not forget about the selection of the goalkeepers themselves. You know, we have had a draft selection process in this tournament. Every choice is huge. But as we look on to an epic final that awaits us, Netherlands versus Brazil. I know you're going to head back to the sofa in a minute, but quickly, who do you fancy for the final?
I think Brazil's got to carry that momentum. And when you look at Netherlands, I think it's a lot of what's Levy going to do here. He's one of the best 2v2 players we've seen, maybe all time if you look at some of his results. But we'll have time to preview it. I think Brazil's going to take the final on a repeat. I put that on paper to start off this competition. We're sticking to it.
Interesting. I'm actually going to go the other way. I fancy the Netherlands. I think it could be their time. I think it could be their coming-of-age moment in the FIFA scene. They've been fantastic. Rachel, I can't wait to hear what you think. And Mike's coming over now, don't worry.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Well, I should always put Aggie on the spot, but we know you like to sit on the fence. If I went with you, which way are you going? Brazil or the Netherlands? Are you going to sit very much in the middle of that couch there, Aggie, and not give me an answer?
I mean, it is comfortable right here, but I mean, first and foremost, I gotta say Brazil is on their way of perhaps, I mean, creating one of the biggest moments in FIFA Esports history. Like, you gotta take a look at it. It's pretty unique and it's something that's never been done before. Not even in 1v1, so it's huge what they're doing right now. I still think that the Netherlands are looking sharp. If I have to pick a side, I just feel like the tactical element there is very strong. The fundament there is there now from Netherlands, and I think this is their shot.
We have a lot of time, don't we, to speak about that Brazilian side because they are in the grand final. But I do want to just draw our attention back to that French side, who again could have made a bit of history. They could have got 2 titles. That wasn't to be. How different were they from yesterday when again they went up against a second South American side, as Mike just joins us on the couch? That was Argentina, of course. 5-2 yesterday. Couldn't score any goals past this second South American side today. Obviously, the boys are talking about the goalkeeper movement. Were they just lacking a bit in what they had yesterday as well, Aggie, would you say?
I think they basically just played against the better side. I mean, Brazil was defending very, very well, and the casters has been speaking about the goalkeeper movements, and Brazil was really, really strong in the defense, and also they had the margins that you need to win because France were actually playing a really, really good match in terms of asking questions to Brazil's defense.
Yeah, I mean, France comeback was on. You mentioned it, the keeper, time and time again, but compared to yesterday, they never really got going.
I mean, they were there. They just didn't convert. And at the end of the day, FIFA can be kind of harsh, can be kind of cruel. If you don't take your opportunities, you're not going to find yourself in a final.
It was the same. They would keep repeating it with Italy. Mistakes went kind of not their way.
Well, the second goal they conceded, it's a huge mistake out of the back. They lost possession. Dembele, quick skill move, top corner. You didn't have enough time to adjust the goalkeeper either. And that really shifted the dynamic because Brazil didn't feel pressure anymore because they had that 2-goal spread. They had a little extra helper.
France, though, like Sven had said as well, Aggie, keep knocking on the door. Don't quite convert to become finalists. How much work does this French side have to do to beat the likes of Brazil and possibly the Netherlands if they were at that side of the bracket? Are they almost there?
I mean, I think they did almost enough. Like the pre-work was outstanding and arguably the best we've seen in this competition so far. Sometimes you just have these moments where you can't really find that goal. And if France would have scored first, as Brian said, maybe the game would have been different. So when you come to these stages, it's such tiny margins, and you can always look at the small things and say, I could have done this, I should have done this. But I think they almost did perfectly, really.
Brazil, are they better than the Brazil of last year who won this title? Mike, obviously a completely different roster apart from PH. Then obviously we had Resende on the couch, really, didn't we, last time? Or are they on a level playing field with that team?
It's so difficult to answer that question. I think in a 1v1 format, I would take this Brazil. But 2v2, they were something special last year. You just felt they were building into the competition. But again, on paper, you have bigger name players coming in this year. Last year was a little bit of a surprise. We knew they had potential, but some of those names weren't as proven.
Yeah, Crepaldi and Klinger, we weren't really sure what they were going to bring to the party. They partied hard, though, didn't they, when they won that trophy? Well, let's continue then speaking about Brazil, because Alex has a couple of their magic moments to break down for us, including those 2 goals, I hope.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at both of the goals that Brazil scored to see them through into the grand final. And they're 2 very different goals as of that. Let's jump in to the first one, which is going to come from that corner. They decide to go short, which is something that a lot of players will look for on FIFA 23. Just want you to take a look at the man at the top of the screen. That is Milinkovic-Savic. We spoke about him so many times throughout this tournament. France have one of 2 options. The option 1 can be to double team out here and cover the pass on the edge of the box and try and stop the cross from coming in altogether. Your option number 2 is to maybe go ahead and grab your Milinkovic-Savic, which is just in the middle of that penalty area, and put him man for man and drag him over to try and stop that threat. Brazil are early with it. They know exactly what they want. They come short, and then you are putting trust in your teammate. Mbappe needs to get tighter. He needs to be more aggressive, as Henry is going to look on that inside to then get that cross in. If you give him that time and space, you are going to see that man take every header opportunity there. And that's exactly what he does. He leaps, the green time finish, and it's a beautiful header. Now, the second goal was a little bit different. This does actually come from a mistake from France, where Brazil are going to look to drive that ball into the middle. Now, we're going to see the defender, Ballack, pick that ball up. They're going to look for a pass out immediately. Doing this allows the opponents to put that pressure onto you straight away. I call it the knee-jerk reaction. It's where you win the ball, maybe you weren't expecting it, and you just press the pass button to try and find a teammate, to try and get out of that press. In doing so, though, that's where Brazil win that ball back up, and then Dembele receives it on the edge. It's not all done yet, though. This is beautiful movement from Dembele, knowing, well, if he goes left, he's going into a channel where there's 2 defenders, and it's more than likely going to get taken out. He won't be able to drive through there. So instead, he just goes up. France take the gamble to go through there, and it just opens up that space. The green time power shot to go through there is absolutely beautiful from Dembele. We don't see it as often on FIFA 23 because they tend to get the looping travellas, but Dembele makes it work, and it's one of the reasons why Brazil are looking so dangerous going into this final.